So these are the new ground sheets that I put down. I covered the entire site and I brought it right back on the sides, so nothing will grow around my poles or equipment. So maintenance should be minimal. The only problem is that now I've kind of exposed the cables even more. So these used to be buried a bit. They were a little bit tricky to get to, but now I've made them nice and open, and we've had quite a lot of thefts in the area. And as we know, these metal enclosures are not as secure as we first thought, because all the keys are common and there's only 3 or 4 different keys. And last theft that Mike had, they just opened the entire lot.
I'm interrupting the video here to show you a clip I found on YouTube. This is a sort of thing I'm up against. These are not master criminals, it's just a couple of lads with some heavy duty bolt cutters. All they need to do is flip the breakers off so it's not live on the main grid, and then cut whatever cables are convenient. These cables weigh about 5 kilograms per meter, and the going rate right now for 5 kilos as scrap copper is around 5,000 yen. So you can see they are just dragging off 5 meter lengths worth 25,000 yen odd each. I'm playing this twice as you have a better idea of what you're looking at the second time round. So my aim is just to make my site inconvenient. All I need to do is make it troublesome and time consuming, and they won't bother. Another quick note here to explain which cables I am aiming to protect as my first attempt at this. The quickest and easiest section to steal is between the upper grade box and my main breaker here. These are the thickest cables on each site, and a quick win if they can grab them. There's actually 3 cables here between these 2 boxes. You can just see the cables exiting that upper grey box on the other side, which go up to the main overhead line. These are connected directly to the main grid and always live, so they never touch that side. Once the breaker box here is open and switched off, these cables are offline and super easy to quickly cut and grab.
What I want to do is build some sort of cage around these units, over these cables, and right up over my breaker, as high as the second grey box. So I'd like to build these enclosures out of metal, of course, with some sort of wire mesh, a bit of angle iron. The only problem is working with metal is hard. It's not easy, and all my metalworking tools are heavy, and you need to have a flat surface, and it's very difficult. Plus I do have power at this site tapping off my main unit. However, I don't want to start running high current off here, so I decided not to bring all my metalworking tools with me. Instead, I went down Viva Home, and these packs of strip wood were 1,000 yen for 15 strips. They're 2 meters long. I bought 2 packs just in case, and also I bought the cheapest, thinnest sheet I could find, which was MDF. I brought just a few basic tools up with me, just my circular saw, staple gun, hammer and nails, a drill, nothing much at all. So this was nice and easy to bring up. And then this frame is just a temporary workbench frame which I keep in the garage for odd jobs. So I brought that with me as well to save my back. So I'm going to set up now, and the idea is that I'm going to make some frame in wood around here, sort of mock up a enclosures the right size and the right shape, and over here as well maybe. So this should be all I need really. I bought the miter saw, the circular saw to help cut up the sheets, hammer and nails, staples and staple gun, a couple of drills just in case. I don't think I'll need them, because I think I'll just staple these onto the frame. They're only 2mm thick. So that's it really. So it's a few hours later now, and this is my mock-up. I try to plan ahead and design it in sections. Where I've put this kind of cross mark is where I'm going to put wire mesh. I tried to make some notes for myself. Yeah, so I think I will build this first as a proof of concept, see how it goes, see how easy it is to build, and then if it's successful, I'll build another unit to cover these cables here, and then a unit for under each box. Around this breaker unit itself, I'm gonna put some holes in the side of this frame, and then make a cage that goes around the front, much more secure, so it's very difficult to open. Yeah, so I don't know how it's going to work out yet. Back home in the garage now with my templates. So I just went and bought some metal. This angle iron, there's only a few sizes available, so this felt about right out of all the options that are available. It will give me enough room to work with to weld something onto here, and wide enough for holes, and yet it's not too thick, so I should be able to work with it. This is pretty cheap. 3 meters of this is about 1200 yen. So I just bought one strip for now, so I can try making my first test piece. And I bought 2 sheets of mesh. So there was 3 grades available. The first grade was just way too thin. This is the middle grade, so this is the one I'd like to make it out of. It's not that thin, but I don't know if I have the skills to weld this. I suspect I'm just going to blow right through it every time. So I bought the next grade up, which is a little bit thicker, so it might be just a little bit more forgiving, but the holes are a little bit wide on this. Not that bad. I prefer to use this one, but I'll be content enough if I have to resort to using this one. So I'm going to cut some test pieces, try making just a simple frame out of this, like a square frame, which should be easy enough. I think I've got the skills for that, but I don't know if I've got the skills to weld this fine mesh onto the inside of this strip. I'll set up and have a go. First I'll try with the stick welder and see if I can use that, and if I can't use the stick welder, I might go to flux core. So I've just finished my first test piece, which went quite well. In the end, I used the stick welder for both the frame and for the mesh. My stick welding technique is pretty ugly, but it's strong, so I don't care how it looks anyway. The frame is welded on this seam, the outside seam, and both of the inside seams as well, like that. So every joint is welded on both sides. To weld the mesh in, I was practicing on this scrap piece, and I found out that by using my thinnest stick and dropping the current down to 35, I have enough time not to burn through these struts, whatever you call them. So this is solid. You wouldn't be able to pull that apart. So again, I just worked my way around. You can see that it's pretty ugly. I would build up a big puddle on the angle iron and then drag it over the struts and then hold it a bit more so the puddle spread out on all sides. Every now and again I would burn through one of the struts like I did here, but not in many places. For the most part, if I can get the light on this one. For the most part it came out pretty good, and this wire mesh is the smaller mesh, which is the one I was hoping to use, and this is solid. I tried and tried to force this mesh out, and I tried so hard that I actually bent this mesh, and so I had to turn it back and hammer it back flat. The basic method works. I'm quite pleased. So this is this side here. So what I'm going to do now is just build up the other sides. I spent quite a lot of time on this one because I didn't know what I was doing, but I've already started making the opposing face, cutting and then neating up the corners before welding. Takes most of the time. The welding part is actually quite quick. So I think now that I know what I'm doing, each panel, like I've got here, will take about 1 hour to make. Bigger panels don't really take that much longer because for the welding is actually quick. So working my way around here with the wire mesh is not going to be that much longer. It's mainly the cutting, the grinding, and every corner that I cut, I have to then cut the opposing face off and then get ready for the next piece again. So in the same manner as these first couple of test pieces, I've just carried on making more of these cage frames, and it's going quite well so far. I switched from using this thicker angle iron to using this thinner one. So this is 20 by 20, and you can see there's a thickness difference from my first couple of test pieces. That's because I realized that I just don't need this much of a face. It can be smaller, and also this is a bit heavy, so it'll just help to keep the weight down a bit, and it's still very strong. The other thing is I switched from using the stick welder to my flux core for welding the mesh in. You can see here it's a bit neater, still not great, but it's nice and strong, and it's less messy, and it means that when I'm welding these corners on a single piece of 2x2, that I'm not gumming up the entire side before I can put the next piece in. If I can get the light on here. So that's all working out quite well. Now of course I can't build the cages completely. I can only build them in 3 sides. So this is nice and strong. And then the front face will be like this. So this is made out of just flat material, the same thickness, a bit wider. So I can weld the cage on the inside and leave a lip all the way around. And then once it's on site, I will fix these two together. Now I could use bolts here, which would be nice and easy, but before that I thought I'd try using rivets. So I've got some rivets. So these are just aluminium ones, because I want to try assembling it with the aluminium ones, put a few in to hold it tight, drill the rest of the holes, and then I can easily drill out the aluminium ones and put steel ones in on site. So just a quick update after 1 weekend of work, and it was a full weekend of work, 20 odd hours.
So this first piece is finished and it came out really well, very happy with it. It's a little bit shorter than the template because I decided to knock 5 centimeters off the height, and then I'm going to put adjustable legs on some sort of screw thread so I can account for the very uneven ground where it's got to go. And then the 5 centimeters clearance that I've already given it, plus the extra clearance I've given it here, is enough for those big cables which come out the bottom of the front here. So it's actually made in sections, which is temporarily held together just with a few rivets. So I've just got 2 rivets holding in this top panel, and then this face is held in by rivets, and this whole face here. So take those 2 faces and that panel off, and I'm left with just like a C shape. I can slot it around the pole and then come around the other side and rivet the 2 faces back on. So yeah, so this is super strong. I may have over-engineered it a bit, really, but you know, it's going to last me a good 10 years plus, hopefully. So the next step is to paint it. I got some good quality rust-proof paint, so I'll give it a paint over the next couple of evenings. Then next weekend I'll build the taller section, which goes, you know, on top here. Welding skills are improving. Still not consistent. A couple of bits are super messy, but I don't care. It's, you know, it's nice and strong.
It's 2 months later now, and I'm back at the site. The ground sheets seem to be holding up quite well. And to give you an idea of why I bothered with these sheets, this is that area where I had the temporary workbench and was making those wooden frames 8 weeks ago. So you can see how quickly it grows. It's almost head height in the middle. So anyway, I'm back today with the finished cages for this section, and I'll try installing them. And here's all my pieces painted and ready for assembly. The lower section already has all the holes pre-drilled, so I just need to rivet these pieces together. For the upper section, I wasn't quite sure exactly where those struts will be, so I'll drill this one on site. I've already made the supporting struts to fit to the pole. So it's completed now. It was quite a lot of work, harder than I thought. You can see the feet at the bottom, and you can see where all these panels are riveted together. So this bottom section is entirely enclosed. This front face goes back in an L, and I left 2 panels here on either side so I could bolt it directly into this box. So, I mean, this thing, you can't move it. If I shake it, in fact, the whole pole shakes. Right, so it's pretty tough. Yeah, so there's enough room for these cables to come out, and then at some point I'd like to make a cover here. But this was just the first, you know, proof of concept, see if this kind of stuff works. Quite pleased. So the upright section is held on with these brackets. There's one here, one here. There's another one, the light's getting in the way, but there's another one up high. And there's also these front faces holding it very tight against the pole. There's one here and there's one there. So now it goes all the way up. So it's a bit late, so the light is not that good, but yeah, I think you get the idea. So now the final step is this box here, which I deliberately left till last. So what I'm going to do is measure it today, and I'm just going to fit some of those L brackets all the way along here, then all the way over the front, with some sort of padlock which is recessed so you can't get to it with bolt cutters, and that should be more than enough. So there you go. Tiring but very happy.
And here's just a few photos I took with my phone, which are a bit clearer than the video. I'm pleased with the result, but it was a bit of a struggle fitting this on site. I realised there was no need to make these cages such a tight fit. It would have been a lot easier if I had made them just 2 or 3 inches bigger in each direction. So I've learned that for next time. Also, the feet I chose for that bottom section gave me a lot of hassle because they kept breaking apart, so I won't be using those again. But anyway, all's well that ends well. I've learned a lot and will get better at making these. It's definitely a success. Anyway, thanks for watching.